Hey guys, so today I'm going to take you through all the steps to do your four uh, portraits, the Warhol-esque portraits. So the first thing you need is a good reference picture. And here's my reference picture of Donald Trump. It's 5 by 7. I'm sorry, it's 5 inches by 7.5 inches. If you want, you could do it this way. It doesn't really matter. But when you print a reference picture, you want a reference picture that's got areas that are totally black, areas that are totally white, and then you want some grays in between. Now, if you edit this in Microsoft Word, there's actually a button you can click and it will do this for you. But a lot of times when you do that, you lose all control and it doesn't look like the person, the portrait that you're making. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of tracing paper, I'm going to lay it over top, and I'm going to outline the shapes of the shadows. Now, you can see here underneath his nose, underneath Donald Trump's nose, there's this clearly defined shape of a shadow. Now, that shadow is not only the shadow of like underneath the nose, but it's also a little bit of a cast shadow where it's coming down onto the area just above the top lip. So there is no differentiation between, like, you cannot see the line right here between the nose, where the nose connects to the rest of the face. So when I draw this, when I trace this on tracing paper, I'm not going to have a line there. I'm simply going to trace this black blobby shape that is the shadow of Donald Trump's nose in my reference picture. So I'm going to start doing that. And first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put my tracing paper down, and I'm going to take a piece of tape that I've got stuck to my leg, my pants. And I am going to tape my tracing paper down once. I'm going to trace it at either end, either corner, opposite corners. And I'm going to begin tracing the shadow of Donald Trump's nose. And now, when I'm looking at my reference picture, he's got a shadow. You can see in this, like, there's this shadow that comes out and around my face right here, and it kind of includes my nostril. If you were drawing this, if my face right now was your reference picture, you would include this cast shadow of my nose right here on the side of my face. So my reference picture, Donald Trump actually has a shadow on the side of his nose. So now I have to decide, and it's not totally black. I have to decide now, is it dark enough gray for me to include that? And again, when you're drawing these contour lines around these shadows, they have to be shapes. You can't draw, you can't do something like, you can't draw something like that and then leave it, because when you start painting that, this is not enough information. It doesn't tell you where your one color stops and your other color starts. If you would paint that, you would end up just painting right over the whole thing. So I want big shapes because those are easier to paint. And I want, they have to be completed shapes. So now I'm going up and I'm following this shadow up around his side of his nose, and actually it kind of goes into his eye, and then it kind of comes around. And there's no absolute right or wrong way to do this. You know that you've done this right if your painting ends up looking like the person you're trying to make it look like. So here I've got it started. And you can see that I'm just tracing those darker values. And once I have that line, like, it's easy to see the difference between the light and the dark. And that's how you know that you're doing it right also. Is after you draw that line, like, you're not going to see it until you draw that line. But after you draw that line, if you can clearly see that one side is lighter than the other, then you've put your line in one of the right places. So I'm going to move on because I've got one that's done already. So this one, that's finished. So once you have this, what you will do is, now I've started to paint this already. Obviously, you're not going to have this painted. So these are, I've lightly drawn a line down the middle this way and down the middle this way. So I'm going to grab a ruler and I'll make this a little bit darker. So I'll lower this. So I'm going to want a line here. Now this is 15 inches. It's 15 inches from here to here. So I'm going to make a mark at 7.5. And then I'm going to make another mark at the top